Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another tier list. Today we have FragPunk, all of the Lancers. We're doing the tier list for them, so please do not forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my weapons tier list from FragPunk as well. I've been having a great time playing this game. I was okay with Valorant, but I'm definitely a controller player, so allowing this to be able to be played on controller from the get-go is awesome. But please let me know what you guys think about where I place my favorite and least favorite Lancers and where we are going to get started. So I really like Pantheon, Pathogen, whatever, sorry. She's definitely one of my mains, but I'm not going to put her in S. I don't really think she deserves it. She's definitely a solid A. I feel like her main trap is very, very nice and useful, not only for helping with the diffuser, but also just holding an area, knowing where they are per the damage output. The healing is very, very nice. We'll actually get back to that. Her little walls, I'm going to kind of contradict myself with the walls from everybody. I think the walls are nice from everybody being able to put up little mini walls, but overall they're not the most helpful or useful things in the game for sure. They're pretty, just kind of a mid ability. So back to the healing. While I do think it's super nice to be able to obviously heal yourself and your teammates, it's just super slow and super small. She does obviously have two of those per round, but I just think either it needs a nerf in uptick of healing or even the speed of it, or to be able to maybe do damage to the enemies or something. That's definitely why she's not an S, with the walls being mid, and then her healing, while it's very nice, it's just kind of it doesn't feel as strong as it should, at least to me. Corona, I'm going to put an A as well. I think he is definitely probably one of the most um, solo Lancers in the game, just because he, while a lot of people obviously have some sort of teleport ability, his movement is definitely unmatched in this game aside from the teleporters. He's just very fast, definitely a very strong solo character. So it's kind of hard to put him in S because it's basically, this one is a lot more based on the actual player than it is, Pathogen and other people being able to kind of have that utility to their teammates as well. But Corona is definitely a very good choice. Let's see, Zephyr. I'm honestly putting Zephyr down in C. I think she is just, I don't even know what to say. Stupid, annoying, both. Yeah, it's just kind of, here, let's go invisible in this area and not be able to do really anything unless they step in the area, and then you can just stab them while you're invisible, which is crazy, and keep stabbing them and stay invisible as well. But you can also be invisible outside of that, which is nice. But yeah, and then her only other thing is just a teleporter that takes, 20 minutes to place. So yeah, I don't like her. I think she can be a little bit useful, in very specific situations, but still, like, there are just way better Lancer choices, not only for you to personally use, but also your teammates, to have on your team. Which we will go to what I think is probably the best one in the game, especially for teammates, is Nitro. I think she is so freaking useful and good. Again, kind of the contradictory with the walls. They're okay, they're not the worst thing in the game, they're not the best. But aside from that, her usefulness to her teammates is fucking S tier worthy. Her little turrets are super nice. They do decent damage. They obviously let you know where people are. They have to then, focus on that or start taking damage. So she's definitely a nice area of, you know, to lock down a certain objective, or also just have you get some intel from certain spots. But at the same time, her little walk around robot is so nice. One, because it can do damage. The damage is not, insane or crazy or anything like that, but it's nice and it's not. I mean, it's easy to hit, but you can move it around, jumping around with it. But at the same time, it's so nice to get that intel, not only for yourself, but especially your teammates, to be able to go around this corner and it's not an instant one shot to where it's like a Rainbow Six Siege drone where it's like one bullet and you don't even know where it came from. This little robot takes a little bit of damage before it explodes and gets destroyed. So I think the amount of intel, damage, and teamwork she can get and do, for herself and her team is unmatched. So I have to put her in S because of all that. Minimum, you can drop her down to A, but like any lower than A, you're just crazy. Um, Honestly, Spider, like I gotta put him down in C as well. I just think when you have so much into one area of all this teleporting and that is just it's so specific for it to be able to be useful and work. I'm not even saying that him or Zephyr is necessarily bad. They're just so specific to be good. And again, it's very just, you know, solo type of players. You're not really helping your team with it. It's just kind of okay, have these teleporters up. Maybe I'll get to use them, and even if I do, how useful is it? Maybe not dying or, getting a random kill, sure, but overall not so much. Um, Broker. Broker's difficult because his fucking rocket launcher is super fucking annoying, especially if you end up getting the dual mode. If you start with the broker and dual mode and just rocket launcher people, it's pretty fucking annoying. Minimum, we're gonna go A. I do just really hate his smokes. I know smokes can obviously be useful for many reasons, but I'm gonna go A. Mostly just because I'm not a fan of smokes. And at the same time, his rocket launcher is a little wonky sometimes. So he definitely deserves an A. I think he's a good pickup for your team for some cheeky kills and shit, not only in, just the regular game modes, but duel as well. So we'll give him an A. I think he's worthy of that for sure. Let's see. Hollow Point. I think Hollow Point probably deserves an S too. Having uh, At the same time, I'm gonna put Axe in here in S as well. And here's why I'm putting them both in S is because you can essentially have any gun that you want every single round of the fights, but both of them then have a ability to where you're bringing out a different weapon that's essentially, one shot insta kills. So she's bringing out a sniper that's one shot. He's bringing out a shotgun that's one shot. And then the utility they both bring with other things like Axon's fucking unlimited grenades damn near. Things like that is just so useful. So while they are definitely a little bit more solo players, they're so useful because they have so many ways that they can kill you. If you chose a shotgun or even an SMG or something and they're at a long distance, you got that railgun, you're gonna essentially one-shot them. You chose a sniper or even an AR or something and you're close range, you're like, fuck it, I'm bringing out my guitar shotgun, basically. I just think that usefulness is so nice in these fights because it allows you to essentially fight and at any range, which is super nice. Not saying that, essentially any gun in this game actually feels very good, actually, and can definitely kill you from, any range. But just to have the more consistent options, obviously, long range, you want, sniper, DMR, even an AR, and then you kind of, go down the list and, close range, shotgun, SMG, and, go up the list. But I think they're definitely worthy of S tier because of all of that. Kesmet is my chick for sure. I really like her. Getting some intel of whether people are there. Getting some grenades, although the grenades are very easy to, get away from. I also really like her invisible movement. Even though I really like her, I think I'm going to put her in A. I just think that a lot of her kit is very good. For herself and her team. Oh, and this fucking wall that this chick does is insane. I did forget that, which obviously is a insane part of her kit. That fucking wall is so annoying. Being able to go through walls and tag people and nobody can see through it is crazy. But back to Kesmet. Um, I think all of her kit is very good. I just don't think a lot of it is the strongest. Her coming out of her invisibility movement is relatively loud, which I understand. It is still very good. It's very nice and useful. I think her grenades could probably use a little bit of a buff because, they take 20 minutes to explode in the area effect that's very visible. And then her scan is very close range and doesn't, it's not like a lot of these other scans where, you get touched by this wall and it's, like that, or broker's scan either. It's pretty mid. So overall, I still think she's very good and useful. I just think maybe some changes or some buffs would put her into S tier, but still a very good champ. Chum, I'm gonna put Chum in B. I think Chum can be useful. I just think overall his kit is just not that great. It's okay. Also having the little robot fish or whatever you want to call it can be nice and be helpful at times, but overall it's just kind of just not consistent. You're not going to consistently see a very good Chum compared to, very good Corona or Hollow Point or something like that. But I still think he's okay and viable. But there's definitely better choice, and to me, there's definitely worse choices as well. Sonar. Damn, Sonar is hard. Definitely going at least A. I don't know if it's S though. I might do S. I just think just the movement and being able to see and ping people and everything like that is just, it's so valuable information to yourself and to your team that you just kind of can't deny that it's good. Minimum, you're going A tier, but I might have to put it up in S just because it's all very useful in a game like this to where, obviously in something like Call of Duty per se, hearing somebody is nice, but it's a lot nicer in hearing somebody in Call of Duty Search and Destroy than it is in, Team Deathmatch or Dom or something, The usefulness varies, but in this game it's pretty much always the same level of usefulness, which is very high. Jaguar. Again, kind of the same with Sonar. Minimum he's going A, but I don't know if he might be S just because he does so many things so well. He's definitely very good at holding an area. I think I gotta put him in S. I just think he's super useful and good, and all of his abilities and everything are pretty solid choices. Yeah, I just think he's arguably one of the best defensive players in the game, if not the best, for sure. Some other ones like Nitro is obviously very good and useful too, but I think Jaguar is probably the best defensive um, Lancer in the game. And then I actually Circuit, maybe I think is her name. I forget actually. I'm gonna put her in B. I think she's okay and useful. The little tornadoes are alright, but they're very easy to move around. But it does force people to move. But other than that, the little, okay, kind of pull the enemies in doesn't really happen. So yeah, she's okay. But again, just overall, I think obviously if you're watching this tier list overall, you would agree for the most part that a lot of these people up here are just overall better choices for yourself or your team than these units. And that's all I'm really getting at here. But please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about my FragPunk Lancers tier list, and be sure to check out my other FragPunk videos that are either already out and still coming out.